Shavkat Rakhmonov won, and he is going to get the title shot against Bilal Muhammad. But the biggest story of this fight to me is how impressive Ian Garry actually is. I'll be the first one to say it. I am a big Shavkat believer, and Shavkat showed how good he is, and I do think there is a lot of room for him to improve in certain areas, and we'll get into that. But Ian Garry, the whole MMA fan base is really going to start to warm up to him after that performance because he showed just how good he is. I mean, there was so many unanswered questions and there still is about him because he really was not forced out of his comfort zone. But that is exactly why it was so impressive. I thought that in the championship rounds or main event rounds, Shavkat was eventually going to get to him after breaking him down over time and find the finish. That is not what happened at all. If anything, Ian Garry is actually the one who was able to control the fight in the fifth round and really put Hamza in a bad place. Ian Garry is so good at neutralizing his opponent's weapons and making them fight the kind of fight that he wants. I didn't think he'd be able to do that against Rakhmonov, but he really did. Even in a losing effort, Shavkat was not able to put things together the way he usually does. Ian did a great job at staying on the outside, doing what he does, picking shots, leg kicks, teeps, roundhouses. I mean, all of the weapons in his usual game, they were effective against Shavkat. The biggest thing that Ian does have to work on, though, if he was able to be a little bit more aggressive offensively and really put things together to cause more damage, I think that is going to be the difference maker and what makes him a championship fighter versus just a top contender. He can make guys fight his fight and he can neutralize their weapons and slow them down, but the downside to his game currently is he is not super impactful with his weapons. It's a lot of picking you apart and not enough damage and ability to get to the finish. Lots of leg kicks from the outside, lots of teeps, some control in the clinch. It's very technical and skilled, which is great. But the thing that's really going to move his game forward leaps and bounds is ability to cause damage to his opponent and really put heavy strikes together and find those finishing shots, finishing sequences. That's what's missing from his game right now. Everything else is great. I mean, his cardio was on point, his technical skills in the clinch. For him to be able to reverse a lot of Shavkat's things in the clinch early on was very surprising to me. They were in 50-50 a lot, and he was able to turn Shavkat. Even in the first round, he almost took Shavkat down. I really didn't see that coming. He has such a complete game, and it's crazy to think. I think Ian Gary's only 27, and how good he already is. Shavkat is a little bit more of a finished product. I think he's 29 or 30. Um, to get into Shavkat is a bit on the opposite end of the spectrum. He is so offensively potent and has so many weapons on the feet and on the ground, but he leaves himself open defensively because he's so offensive. And that's on the feet and on the ground. He sacrifices position for submission and position on the feet for big shots that put him in compromising positions. And Ian was able to take advantage of that in the fifth round when he got his back and was close to getting the rear naked. It was over the chin, but it was getting there. Very impressive from Ian. Shavkat needs to tighten those things up because he's fighting Bilal, and do I think Bilal is like a generational talent? No. But Bilal makes the absolute most of what he does and the skills he does have. He's a finished product, and what he does it very well. Um, all the things he tries to implement, he knows exactly what he's trying to do, exactly where he's trying to get the fight. He goes in there with his blueprint and really knows how to put his game plan into effect. And Shavkat, that's what he's missing right now. I think he's a little bit too all over the place, and if he can just polish those things a little bit more, then he'll be amazing. And I think he will be a champion. And I do think I'll still pick him over Bilal. Those are my early thoughts, but there's definitely defensive liabilities he has that he needs to improve on. I think scoring the fight, I did have it 3-2 Shavkat. I thought Shavkat won, but those rounds were very close. You couldn't have been mad if they gave it to Ian Garry. I had Shavkat 1, 2, and 4, and then Ian 3 and 5. Um, the other thing from Shavkat is he loves to wrestle from the clinch and use trips and takedowns from the clinch, body locks. But his wrestling in open space and wrestling at the legs instead of the body is great, but he used it so late. He didn't go for it. He didn't actually change levels for a takedown until the fourth round. He kept trying to get the body lock and takedowns from the clinch, and it wasn't working. And then finally, in the fourth round, when he decided to actually shoot a double leg and he got a knee tap, he was able to get the takedown and control Ian for the rest of the fourth round. And that's what won him that round. I wish he would implement that more. He definitely needs to, like, when his A game is not working, he needs to go to his very great B game earlier. If he would have implemented level changing for a takedown in the third round versus the fourth round, it could have been a more clear and decisive win for him. Um, but that's just something that he's going to have to work on as well. But the real story of this fight to me was Ian Garry and just how good he actually is. Super bright future, just needs to open up a little bit more offensively and put more emphasis on damage. He is so technical and outpoints everybody and outmaneuvers everybody, but he needs to put more damage on his opponents. That's the missing link to his game. And I can't wait to see where he goes from here. I think a good fight to make would probably be him versus Sean Brady or the winner of the Colby and Joaquin Buckley fight. And then for Shavkat, he's going to get the Bilal Muhammad fight. We'll see when that takes place. Both these guys, super bright future. Great, great co main event. That's one of those fights that's so technical and it's not the most action oriented fight, but I could watch those guys fight all day just because of how great they are at what they do. Very excited to see where both these guys go from here.